Western leaders have increasingly acted like puppets of Israel, putting Tel Aviv's agenda ahead of their own nation's interests. Time and again, they provide unconditional military aid, veto UN resolutions critical of Israel, and echo its talking points even when global opinion condemns its actions. Rather than pursuing independent policies that reflect the will of their own citizens or the principles of international law, these leaders bend under the pressure of pro-Israel lobbies and political influence. This subservience has turned Western capitals into extensions of Israel's diplomatic machinery, eroding credibility abroad and fueling instability in the Middle East.
Why are Western countries bending over backward to support Israel no matter what happens? We're talking about a geopolitical game that's been running for decades, with stakes higher than you might realize. This isn't just about diplomacy or alliances. It's about power, control, and some seriously disturbing motivations. Let's start with the obvious question. Why do the United States, the UK, Germany, France, and the EU seem so committed to Israel, even when the world is witnessing devastation in places like Gaza? We're talking about billions of dollars in military aid, cutting-edge weapons, and political cover on the global stage. No matter the headlines, tens of thousands of lives lost, entire communities displaced, hospitals and schools reduced to rubble. The support doesn't waver. Why? What's driving this loyalty that seems to defy logic, morality, and even public opinion? The answer lies in a mix of cold, hard strategy and some ideological beliefs that sound like they belong in a history book, not modern politics. First, let's talk about Gaza. It's not just a conflict zone. It's a testing ground for some of the most advanced military technology on the planet. Israel has turned Gaza into a real-world laboratory for its weapons, drones, AI, and surveillance systems. Every missile launched, every drone deployed, every piece of tech used, there is a showcase for governments and militaries around the world. It's like a live advertisement for Israel's defense industry. These aren't just weapons. They're tools of control, and they're being tested in real time with real lives at stake. The West isn't just observing. They're deeply invested. They're watching how these technologies perform, taking notes and buying into the same systems for their own use. Gaza becomes a proving ground where the cost is human suffering, and the payoff is a global arms market that rakes in billions. But this isn't just about weapons sales. It's about something much bigger: Israel's role as a Western military outpost in the Middle East. Let's be real. The Middle East is a geopolitical goldmine. It's got oil, gas, strategic trade routes, and a history of power struggles that shape global influence. The West, especially the US, UK, and their allies, needs a foothold in this region to maintain their dominance. That's where Israel comes in. It's not a country, it's a strategic asset, a military base disguised as a nation. Think about it. Israel's location gives the West a permanent presence in a volatile region, a way to keep tabs on rivals, secure resources, and project power. The US alone has poured over $300 billion into Israel since its founding, with much of it going to military aid. This isn't charity, it's an investment in control. Without Israel as their anchor, the West's grip on the Middle East would be shaky at best. That's why they'll back Israel no matter what. It's their gateway to influence in a region that's been a battleground for centuries. Now let's get into something that sounds like it's straight out of a conspiracy theory, but is very real to some: the idea of a greater Israel. This is a vision rooted in certain religious and ideological circles that imagines Israel expanding far beyond its current borders. We're talking about land stretching into parts of Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, Egypt, and even Iraq. It's a plan for dominance dressed up as destiny. Some groups, particularly evangelical communities in the US, tie this to biblical prophecy, believing that Israel's expansion is a step toward fulfilling ancient predictions about the end times. It's wild to think that modern geopolitics could be influenced by religious texts, but this belief has serious pull. Politicians, especially in the US, court these groups for votes and funding, and in return, they push policies that align with this vision. That means unwavering support for Israel's actions, even when they involve massive land grabs or aggressive military moves. The dream of a greater Israel isn't just a fringe idea. It's a driving force behind some of the West's blind loyalty. What's even chilling is how this all comes at a devastating human cost. In Gaza alone, over 52,000 people have been killed, with countless more injured or displaced. Entire neighborhoods are gone, schools and hospitals are in ruins, and famine-like conditions are spreading. Yet the West keeps the aid flowing, $3.8 billion a year from the US alone. No strings attached. Why? Because to the powers that be, the lives lost are just numbers on a balance sheet. The strategic benefits, military dominance, regional control, and a testing ground for tech outweigh the outrage. It's not about justice or human rights. It's about maintaining an edge in a world where power is everything. The West's leaders don't blink because they've calculated that the cost of supporting Israel is worth it, even if it means turning a blind eye to atrocities. Israel's defense industry isn't just a local player. It's a global powerhouse. Companies like Elbit Systems and Rafael Advanced Defense Systems supply weapons and tech to countries across the West, from the US to Europe. The tech tested in Gaza, drones that can track movements, AI that predicts targets, surveillance systems that monitor entire populations, ends up in the hands of Western militaries and police forces. This creates a feedback loop. Israel tests the tech, the West buys it, and Israel gets more funding to keep the cycle going. It's a machine that runs on conflict, and Gaza is the fuel. The West's support ensures that this machine keeps humming no matter how many lives are caught in the gears. And let's not forget the political cover. Every time Israel faces criticism at the United Nations or in global forums, Western countries are quick to step in. The US has vetoed dozens of UN resolutions critical of Israel, shielding it from accountability. Why? Because Israel's actions serve Western interests. It's not about fairness, it's about protecting a key ally that delivers results. Whether it's countering Iran, securing trade routes, or keeping rival powers in check, Israel is the West's front line. That's why they'll deflect, downplay, or outright ignore the humanitarian crisis to keep the partnership intact. So, what does all this mean? Western countries are backing Israel because it's a strategic trifecta: a military outpost in a critical region, a testing ground for next-gen tech, and a symbol for ideological groups chasing a biblical fantasy. Israel gets to act with impunity, expanding its influence, testing its weapons, and pushing toward that greater Israel vision, while the West reaps the benefits. It's a deal built on power, not principles. The human toll, the destruction, the lives lost, they're all written off as collateral damage in a game where control is the ultimate prize. This is where we need to ask ourselves, what's the cost of staying silent? The West's support for Israel isn't just about foreign policy. It's about a system that prioritizes power over people. It's about a world where strategic interests trump humanity, where weapons are tested on civilians, and where ancient prophecies shape modern wars. The question is, what do we do with this knowledge? Do we shrug and move on, or do we demand accountability? This is a story about Gaza. It's a story about the world we're living in and the kind of future we're building. So here's my challenge to you. Don't just watch this and move on. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about the West's role in this? Is Israel just a tool in a bigger game, or is there more to it? Let's start a conversation.